Okay, this is chapter 6.2, surface area of prisms. And again, this is pretty easy and pretty fun. This is a picture of first a prism. Oh, I changed my tool here. This is a prism, and this is what it would look like if you kind of took it apart and unfolded it. Now, if you look at this one, you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. We could actually label them if we wanted to. Now this one says side 4 and side 5, side 2, but they also have a top and a bottom. You just have to recognize that there are 6 sides, and that's the part you have to remember. When you're finding surface area, you're summing all the areas. So there are 6 sides. You need to find the area of each side and then add them together. And a lot of times some of the sides are the same size. Alright, for instance, if you look at this one, this pink might be a front, and then there's an identical side on the back. This gray one would be the back. And it depends on what your eyes do. You can always see this a different way. But I like to have this pink one at the front, this gray one at the back. Okay, you could have a top and a bottom, and a left and a right. So that gives you 3 pairs. Or you could just have 6 sides. And you just need to be able to recognize that this shape comes with all of these pieces, and that this shape over here looks like this shape when it's been unfolded. I kind of think of unfolding it. I know it's supposed to be a 3-dimensional object, so you don't really unfold it, but you unhinge it, take it apart, and lay it out flat and make it 2-dimensional. Alright, so that's really all we really need to see for this. I'm going to probably draw one, and we'll put some dimensions in, and maybe we'll do one for a triangular prism as well. Ooh, I probably ought to make sure I'm at least doing it semi-nicely. Okay, so remember you start by drawing 2 squares, and then you connect the corners. Remember, we do this for the last lesson. And it starts to take on a 3-dimensional shape. Now, just so that we can see it better, I'm going to take this eraser and make sure that these ones that in my head are in the back are beginning to look like that to you as well. Alright, so we have this is the front. And let's give it some dimensions. So let's say this is 2 wide by 2 tall by 3 long. So width, depth, and height. Okay, we have 3 dimensions here. And since it's a rectangular pyramid, this front is 2 by 2. The front and the back is 2 by 2. Alright, so the area of this front, 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so one thing you can do is you can write out front, back, top, bottom, left, and right. Now, it's also okay to just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got, it just depends on how you want to think about it. As long as you cover all 6 sides, you're going to be okay. There are 6 sides on this one, and the front is 2 by 2, which is 4. The back is also 2 by 2, which is also 4. Now the side, this side right here, this would be the right side, is 2 tall and 3 long. So it has a different shape. It's a little bit more of a rectangle, and it's 2 by 3, which is 6. Okay, so the left and the right are each going to be 6. And the truth is, since this front is a rectangle, or a square, 2 by 2, then this top is also going to be 2 this direction, 3 this direction, so top and bottom are going to be the same as left and right. And that's a lot of times the way it is. Then we really have 4 plus 4 is 8, 6 times 4 is 24, and if we add 8 and 24, we're adding here, we get a total of 32. And that's units squared. Now, we don't know what the units are. If it was centimeters, we'd have centimeters here. But since we don't have something, we still need to list it, and we need to recognize that they're square units. And this is not volume. This is surface area. So there's just 6 sides, and we're going to add up the area of each of the sides. Okay, now what if we did something different and we had a triangular prism? Let's see if I can draw one of these. This is quite a bit more complicated. Let's see, let's change it so that this goes like this. And let's see, I have to have an identical triangle over here, or at least fairly identical, and then connect all of these. Okay, now it looks a lot better if I actually make them look like they're connecting. Okay, so this is more of a triangular prism, and we don't have 6 sides here because we have a front and a back again. Oops. We have a front and we have a back, and we have a bottom, and we could call this one the right, and we could call this one over here, this one right here, we could call that the left. But we don't really have a top, because instead of a flat top there's just this ridge running along here. Okay, so this case we only have 5 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have to find those. Now since it's a prism, the front and the back, and if you were to set it up tall it would be the top and the bottom. It's just the way it's sitting, you could call it the front and the back. Those each are going to be the same, but the other sides might not be. Okay, so you have to have some dimensions in order to find the area of a triangle. Remember, for the area of a triangle you have to have a base and a height. So if we say 6 and 3 is the base and the height of this triangle, and they'll usually give you that in the instructions. Well, this is 6 and 3, so the height is going to be area of a triangle, which is 1/2 base times height, which is 1/2 of 6 times 6 times 3. And 1/2 times 6 is, half of 6 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So the front and the back are 9 units. Okay, again we don't, well, let's go ahead and call it centimeters. And so each of these is squared centimeters. Now if this is 6 and this is also 6, the problem is that we have to have a measurement for here, which we can't call 3 because it's longer than this distance, so it has to be, we'll call it 4, and we'll call this one 5. This length here, this is 5, and this length is also 5. Both of these should be the same, and I think so. Then the bottom is 6 by 6, so that's going to be 36 centimeters squared. This right side face is 6 by 4, which is 24 centimeters squared, and the left side is 5 by, should be 6 also if this one is, 5 by 6, which is 30 centimeters squared, and then I have to add them all up. Well, how do we do this? 30 plus 30 is 60, plus 20 is 80, so that's 80. And then I have 9 plus 9, which is 18, and 6 plus 4 is 10. So 18 plus 10 is 28, and then I can just get right to 108 is my answer. 108 centimeters squared. So is the surface area of this triangular prism. And that's basically what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to work with rectangles and rectangular prisms and triangular prisms. And I think that's all they're going to ask you. They could ask you to do some other things, but I think that's all they're going to ask you for this lesson. And you got it. You're all set.